Welcome. We're on page 2 of our Chapter 3 exam practice, and this is number 6. Tom and Jerry took a university entrance exam. Tom scored in the 30th percentile, Jerry scored in the 80th percentile, and we're going to see what we can conclude. Now, they don't say that the distribution of scores is bell-shaped, but I'm going to put the information on the bell since we do a lot with bell-shaped curves. And let me just come over and make that a little bigger for us then. All right, so X would be our variable, and it would represent the score on the entrance exam. And the median score, if all of the exam scores were in order, the median would be the score in the middle. So for scores, half of scores would be below the median, half would be above the median. So another name for the median here, that would be the 50th percentile. So your percentile is a measure of position. So if you scored at the median, 50% of scores were lower. So your percentile indicates the percent of data below the value. All right, so let's take a look at Tom here. So Tom did not score at the 50th percentile. He's at the 30th percentile. So Tom is somewhere to the left on the number line. So this would be P30, 30th percentile, that's Tom. And what that would tell me, I'm just going to shade here, that would tell me that approximately 30% of scores were below Tom. So percentile is the percent of data below that value. So I don't know what Tom got. I only know that 30% of scores were lower. And that would mean that, I'll put it on the bottom here, that would mean that the other, so out of 100% of scores, if 30% are lower, 100% minus 30% means that 70% of scores were higher than Tom. All right, so Tom here is below the median. Then we've got Jerry at the 80th percentile. So 80 is bigger than 50, so he's over here somewhere. We're not trying to draw these perfectly to scale. I just need to know that the 80th percentile is to the right of the median. And I'm not going to shade because that'll just look confusing. But what I will say is that I now know that 80% of scores are lower than Jerry's score, which would mean the other 20% of scores would be higher than Jerry's. So I don't know how much of this information we need. I'm just giving you a lot of information so you can answer any question that's asked about interpreting this information about the percentiles. All right, so lovely. We've got some kind of picture going over there. And now let's look at our choices. So which of the following can we conclude? Number 1, Tom got 30% of the questions correct. All right, that can't be the right answer because percentiles have nothing to do with percents correct or incorrect. They can only tell you percentages of scores below and above a value. So 1 is out. Number 2 here, both Tom and Jerry scored above the median. Well, that's not true. Tom is below it and Jerry is above it. And then number 3, Jerry scored lower than approximately 20% of students who took the exam. And that looks like the correct answer. There's Jerry. So 80% were below him. The other 20% were above him. So Jerry is below these 20% of students. So there's our correct answer. So multiple choice wise, it is just 3. So C. All right, and then next we get to our GPA questions, our weighted mean, or sometimes the unweighted mean, depending on the question. But we'll start here with a weighted mean. So Bethany here took these classes. We have the grades she received. And let's start then with our variables. So we are going to put in our expressions here, our variables. So X would represent grade points. And those courses are weighted. The number of units are the weights. And to find the total points earned for each class, we take the grade X and multiply it by the weight of the class. All right, so kinesiology, Bethany here earned a B. So Bs are worth 3 points. So you do want to know, I'm just going to write these across the top here. You do want to know that an A earns you 4 points, a B is 3, C is 2, D is 1, and F is 0. So you are expected to know this. Most schools do use this system of earning points. And let's find total points then. So for kinesiology, 3 times 1 is 3. And you can just write 3. I'm just putting in the work in case anybody wants to see it. Sociology, she scored a C, and that's 2 points. It's a 3-unit course. So in total, she gets 6 points for sociology. And then bummer on anatomy here, F is worth nothing. And it's a 5-unit class, but still 0 times 5 is 0. So no points there. And then statistics, yay, an A. Those are 4 points. It's a 4-unit course. So that is 16. All right. I'm also going to ask here for us to put in variable expression column sums. So I'm going to start here with the units. So sigma, capital sigma, add the weights together. That will tell me how many units Bethany is taking. So I'll grab my calculator and just do that, add those up. Bethany here is taking 13 units. And then I'm going to add, so capital sigma, I'm going to add what I got for each X times W value. So by adding these, I'll know how many total points she earned this particular semester. And that looks like 25 points. So in order to find a GPA, the weighted mean, so I'm going to write the formula here, GPA equals, so for a weighted mean, you take the sum of the X times W values, and you divide it by the sum of the weights. So the table has it all organized for us. When we added each of the XW values, we got 25. So that's total points. And we divided it by the sum of the weights, 13. So we're essentially taking all of her points and spreading it equally among her 13 units. And we're going to round to 2 decimal places. So that is a 1.92. Okay. So there you go. That's the presentation, all the work there. So again, I'm not only going to be looking at numerical answers, I'm going to be grading, do you have your headings correct and your sums correct? And did you write your formula? And show me your substitutions. So just getting to good habits of presenting work. And then we'll move forward and do my part B. So then the follow-up here is what would her GPA have been if all the courses had been of equal weight? So in other words, if these were an unweighted mean example, so if all the courses had the same number of units, these would all be weighted equally. So when you find an unweighted GPA, I'll just write it in words here, unweighted GPA, what you'll do is just add up the actual points for each of those 4 classes and divide it evenly among those 4 classes. All right, so in this case, we would add the grade points. You can forget about the weights because all the, oops, sorry, not W. We're not doing weights. We're adding the points for each class, disregarding weights. So 3 plus 2 plus 4 will be 9. So we're going to take 9 points and spread them across her 4 classes. And 9 divided by 4 is 2.25. So by doing an unweighted mean, her GPA actually went up because this F wasn't having as big an impact as if it had been weighted. So in the weighted example, F here had actually more importance, higher weight than any other class. All right, I'll just go through one more here, maybe a little bit more quickly. So I've got another student. X is points earned, W are the units, and then we find total points, X times W. So a B in psychology, B's are 3, 3-unit course. 3 times 3 is 9. And an A in chemistry, A, 4 points, 5-unit class. 4 times 5 gives us 20. And then a C in history. C's are worth 2 points, 3-unit class. And that gives us 6 points. All right, I'm going to do the weighted GPA first. And again, just good habits, writing your formulas. It helps you with the techniques and getting used to writing formulas as they get harder later, not harder, but maybe more involved later, getting in good habits there. So we've got our formula. And then I will again ask for the column sums using that summation notation. So let's take care of that. If we add the weights, that's 11 units. And then we add the X times W. Each of those are points earned for that particular class. And that looks like 35. So we've got 35 divided by 11. So even though a table here isn't absolutely necessary, we could work without it. It's just a way to organize the information. So then we have formula, substitutions, and that gives us 3.18, again, just rounding to 2 places. And then what would have happened if we asked for an unweighted GPA? So if all the courses were of equal weight, so one more time here with my formula. So unweighted GPA, so it is the sum of the points. So you can just add the X values, divide by the number of classes the student is taking. So I'm just going to add the points with disregarding the weights. And that looks like 9 points. And in this case, the student is taking 3 classes. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. And I like putting the 0.00, so it looks like a GPA, which we often round to 2 decimal places. All right, so that should help you with your GPA questions on presenting the work, variable headings, variable column sums, writing formula, substituting, and then final answer.